Hi everybody, it's Rose Faraci and I am here with Lightstar and Standswithbear. I hope everybody is having a great new year so far, and excuse me, and we are so excited. We decided we'd start at 111. It's 111, so here we go. Magic number, magic all the way around. We are going to have a great discussion today. Lightstar and Standswithbear have some great messages that they have to bring forth today, and if you have any questions, there is a Q&A forum. Just ask your questions right below this video here, and we should be able to see it here, and I will keep an eye on it as well. And Lightstar and Standswithbear should have the view of the questions coming in. So please feel free to, chime in and say hello, and chime in and ask a question about anything that we're talking about today. I deliberately wanted to do my first live event video with Lightstar and Standswithbear because I really feel very, very, very urgent, in this form or this way. I felt very connected with them, but I feel like they are totally right in the now. And I really wanted to start this linear new year by getting out some authenticity and some genuine, real message, real truth, and everything straight from the heart, from the soul. And I wanted to present what is about your path and your truth and what's going on all around us, and we want to make more sense of it, and we want to clarify some things and give you a fresh perspective of a lot of things that are happening with you within, because you're not the only one, you're not alone. And Standswithbear and Lightstar have a plethora of things that they've been doing since the last time we did an event over a year ago. And they've added some things to their work, and they're doing some wonderful and great things. So I am going to say hello to Lightstar and Standswithbear, and I would like them to actually start off by talking about what they are doing. I mean, there's so many new things you guys are doing. I know Lightstar's got a beautiful deck that I have yet to purchase for myself. And it's an oracle deck that she's done with her digital work. It's just so stunning. And she's been doing a lot of artwork. She's been doing jewelry. And then Standswithbear is a musician. He's been doing some great music. And they both do sessions, and they both do sessions together and separately. And I would like them to elaborate more on what those sessions are about. And hello, you two. I love you so much. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much. Hi, Rose. Thank you so much for having us. And, we really appreciate and honor who you are as well. And we're very grateful to be here. And I guess we'll start off with what we do together since we're here together. We started a company called Starseed Alliance International. And people can go on there at starseedallianceinternational.com. And that was our co-work that we wanted to do together specifically for starseeds and for it's not just starseeds, but we call it that because most of the starseeds are either awakening to who they are or haven't awakened yet and need to. And so we're sort of giving the push along and the assistance in those processes for people to awaken. And we have a wonderful session that we do and provide for people that we do together called Activational Co-Creative Therapy Session. And it's really, we both have individual sessions, but in this one we come together and we bridge our gifts together to really help the people to awaken, to align more completely with who they are. We do some activations in there, guided visualizations. We do a lot of holographic work and all sorts of different things, along with messages that guides want to come through, or anybody that wants to come through. We do a lot of different things. It's very individual for obviously people it's all individual. So, so that's kind of what we do together. Do you want to add to that? Or?
Yes, I do. When we started the SAI, Starseed Alliance International, It started because at first, Lightstar some time ago, it's ironic because we both had kind of like similar ideas, but she wanted to do it for like, she thought about getting into like medical intuition, stuff like that. And myself, I wanted to do it. I wanted to start it because I wanted to be that person that was there when that wasn't there when I started. I didn't have a lot of people that really understood about Starseed anything, and I kind of had to learn it on my own through my star family and all the incredible magical things that happened as I was traversing into this. But I wanted to be, one of those people that put their hand out and said, hey, it's not as hard as you think, follow us, And so we started this whole thing as far as Starseed Alliance International, honing her gifts and my gifts and putting the two together and bridging them. And it turned out to be a really beautiful symbiotic relationship in what we do, because like she'll do her thing and then I go from there. And it's just like this real nice transition when we work and we do our healing as a unit, as a team.
Yeah, it became sort of like I always like to use this story, it became like the chocolate and the peanut butter, where it's like, oh, we're chocolates, my peanut butter. Oh, wait a minute, that actually,
awesome.
that works out really well.
Yeah.
So we've sort of blended this and learned how to work together to really assist people. I mean, imagine one person that's helping you, but then we've got two people helping you that are both really tied to the highest realms, really, and bringing those genuine contacts and connections for you to really help people move along on their path. Because we're really all about, it's time, it's time for people to move, and it's time for people to do the work and to get in there and to really make some transformations and shifts. It's not like we're not there to be Madam or Mr. Zorba, who can just look into the crystal ball and, oh, this is your future. It's not fortune telling. We've just moved past all of that and really get to the crux of the matter.
Come out wherever you are. It's time to come out of the galactic closet.
Yeah, so we sort of developed this type of session for people to really make some changes. And, our individual sessions, which we do, are, we do some of the same things because we're using that in the co-session. But, I know for myself, I've actually recreated a lot of new things for this year in my own session work. And I've got a illumination session, which is new, and I'm doing light language in there. I'm using my Oracle deck that I did create for people to energetically assist them, as well as helping with what's going on in their lives. And I also have a 3-phase interdimensional Starseed alignment session. And that's really like going into some heavy progression here, because I realized I couldn't do this in 1 hour. I just, it's hard. And even our ACT session is 2 hours because, we have a lot to cover in there.
A lot of stuff to.
So I broke mine into a 3-phase session. And so I'm doing some new things to really get in there and help people. And he also does, you all go ahead with your session.
Well, I just got back from England, jolly old England. I was there for a month, and I did a lot of grid working and a lot of healing from several of my lives back there, all the way back to Arthur. And I met several of my brother knights, and actually the incarnation of Merlin, which was really awesome to see him again. And so we did a lot of really powerful ceremonies. I met some priestesses from Avalonia. And the most important part is it gathered a piece of myself, like a missing part of me. So now I've become Standswithbear 4.0, literally. Okay, doing a lot more intense things than I was before. The energy that I was working with, I can call upon much easier than I ever could before. It's like that one little missing synchronization came to pass. And now everything is just very clear to me of where we're headed in the future, what we're going to be doing and what we should be doing here. And I'm more adamant about awakening as many people as possible, because bottom line is you came here to do a job. Time to get off the merry-go-round. We're here to do a job. We're here for a purpose, each one of us, and we know that. And we've been in little la-la land here for so long, a lot of us have forgotten that. Well, I'm here to remind you, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and we've done, we both do other things as well. Like Rose was saying, I have alignment jewelry, and I sell my artwork and the session work and do the languages that I do and all of that. It's like, you know, for myself, I know I came here to do activation work on people through sound, color, vibration, light, you know, images, artistry, and using all of that.
I gotta wear roller skates
and he
to
does,
keep up with her.
he does the same thing, except for he's the musician. So we're
Right.
both really doing the same thing, but we have, you know, he's a musician, I'm the artist, and so we bring it in different ways. But that's really important.
One cool thing that we're doing that I want to kind of let the cat out of the bag just a little bit, is I surprised her with the gift. It was a little later, but the gift for Christmas. And what we're doing as a unit together, which is awesome, is with her star language that she's doing, I'm incorporating my music. So you'll hear the language, but my music with it. And we just did one called Fairy Kind.
Yes, the fairy activation language.
You should have seen her eyes light up. She's like, oh my God.
The first time I heard it, I got chills after chills after chills. And I mean, I love his music, but this was like, whoa, this was something different. And
oh,
so
just you wait.
We hope to do, you know, like I said, we're taking out one track at a time, but, you know, we'll have eventually, you know, Elven and the Andromedan and whatever languages come, and then different and mermaid languages.
Yeah,
all
this
sorts
tells
of cool
you
stuff.
anything. That piece of music I created for her, Fairy Kind, has 46 tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of, and like I said, these are all activations too. It's not just, oh, the music's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you will feel it. You will feel it.
Yeah.
It's like, I've never felt something of his like so strong even. So we're really excited. It may take a bit for us to get that out, but that's coming. Yes.
Yeah. Look out,
Cat out of the bag.
2016. Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess that leads us into, you know, why we're here and talking today is we just moved into a new year, right? So happy new year, everyone, if you follow that. We were just talking about that. We're really not linear time here, but in the linear timeline, we just moved into, you know, 2016. And so we really feel like the momentum is moving, and we need some inspiration and some new stuff, because in my view, and I just did a video on this too, of 2016. In my view, this year is going to be crazy in a good way, but it's like gonna move you like nothing else, because even in numerology, if those of you that follow numerology, 2016, we're now moving into a 9-year. And for those of you that don't know anything about that, a 9-year means completion. It's completion of a 9-year cycle. So we're going to be wrapping up a lot on the humanity level, on consciousness level, meaning what I feel big time is all those remaining stuff, all these remaining thoughts, beliefs, systems, out old patterns of ways of thinking in our society.
Yep.
Has got to shift. We've been doing it bit by bit this last 9-year cycle, but now it's like coming down to a head. So it's going to be a great, but also kind of a challenge. And, you know, we want to say, for those of you who step up to the plate and really go through this and really, you know, not side skirt it, but really like go through it, are going to have some pretty awesome things happen. And especially even into 2017 linearly, there's going to be some big shifts that will be happening.
Yeah.
So we want to give you the courage, right? The courage to go forth into this. And I've got some tips, which we'll go into, and he probably wants to share some things about that too. But just know that we're all going through this together. So you're not alone. We're going through it. We're not up here going, yeah, okay, well, we got it all figured out. So good luck with that. Right. No, we're like here going, look, we're going through the same things. We're just identifying these things a bit more. that's really what we're doing, just bringing it out so that people can be aware of it.
And, you know, in native way, the elders say we're the ones we've been waiting for. Let me tell you what that means. A lot of people out there, they talk about how their ancestors came from the stars, and they're part of that, and they relish that. You know, my ancestors came from the stars, and they put it up on the mantle of their fireplace, and, you know, they keep it in the past. It's time now to be that. Not just that your ancestors came from the stars, but to be that. You are your ancestors. You are that star being. And that's the most important thing in the year 2016, is to be who you are and do what you're here to do. And don't care what anybody else thinks, because the bottom line is a one-on-one relationship between you and the Creator, period. Matters not. Haters, whatever it may be, it's a one-on-one relationship with you and the Creator. So now we're coming out of the point of, you know, obviously this last 2015 was a year of transparency. Look how many things completely awakened and open, and all the little beings that try to hide in little dark places were completely shed into the light, whether they liked it or not. They were completely dragged, kicking, clawing, scratching, and screaming into the light, because it was a year of transparency. I believe that the year of 2016 is going to be the year of rebirth, the year of, as Lightstar said, releasing and letting go what no longer serves you. And I mean everything. I don't mean just like little parts of yourself. I mean like a complete releasing of everything that you thought you were. Even to the point when we were born, you're a sentient being of the universe. What happened? You get here. How do they introduce you to the earth? Welcome to Earth. Okay? not real inviting, right? So now it has come to the point of all of the old tapes, all of the old blame, all of the old transgressions, or whatever happened to so-and-so and so-and-so, all of that needs to go away, because that is just the story. It's just the story. And it's time to walk away from the story and close that chapter and write a new story. And the new story that's coming is brilliant, magnificent, incredible, and full of characters that you can't even imagine. Imagination is the key.
Yep. And the cleansing, what he was talking about, you know, when I chose the cards that I chose for 2016 in that video, about what, 4 out of the 7 chakras showed up. You know, that's kind of rare in when I do that. So it's kind of like, wow, we're going through, like I said, like major chakra realignments. You know, it's cleansing and then realigning. So it's not just a light little, okay, we need to do this. It's like, no, let's look at the whole thing all over again and reevaluate and go into the closet and start cleaning out some of that stuff that isn't, you know, served you for a time, but now it's got to go. And you may not know what the new thing is for sure, you know, especially the new thing coming in or what you're supposed to be doing. That's okay. Especially being in a 9-year, sometimes you don't know until like towards the end of that year. For those of you who are following that.
You can't become the Jedi that you are until you relinquish all those things.
Speaking of Jedi, I think we had a question pop up from somebody.
We did. Joanne Keeper, she wants to know. She says, how do we know how to present our talents or put a price or value on our gifts? What would you recommend for someone who is just starting to develop their Jedi skills? What baby steps can we take to learn our own self-worth?
On my behalf, what I would suggest with that, a couple of years ago, I was a special guest speaker at the Angels and Aliens Conference in Ohio. And the one thing that I discovered, because it was just from the time I got there, I was there almost a week, I just hit the ground running. And it was like, go, 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 go. And I'm just bouncing around like a happy little elf. And just incredible abundance was flowing my way. And what I discovered okay, on my behalf, and then Lightstar will tell you what she wants to. But on my behalf, I discovered that your quotient to your abundance that you receive is your quotient of deservitude. If you feel you deserve it, then that's exactly what you will receive. Now, that's very important you understand that. If you don't feel that you're worthy, or your abilities aren't good enough yet, or you're still practicing, you're not sure if anybody's going to want that, toss all that aside, okay? You're a child of the Creator. All that made the heavens, the earth, the universes, and the planets reside within you. Never forget that. You're powerful beyond measure. So your quotient of your abundance that you wish to receive is equal to that of your deservitude. And that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that too before I go into something else. But, you know, when you're first starting out and you have these new gifts and you're trying to figure out what to charge, if you're going to charge, that is a humongous issue for a lot of light workers, starseeds, or anyone. But really, it's a huge issue on what should I put a price, how should I price it, and that starts it starts kind of a internal issues coming up for people. It comes up from past life experiences here, people that have had lifetimes as monks, and people that have had experiences with just charitable giving. Like they didn't charge for their services maybe in that lifetime, they just gave it away, you know, and people feeling like, well, maybe I should just give it away in this life, and, you know, maybe I shouldn't charge for it. But then having that dichotomy between I want to charge and do my real work, you know, but then having this issue. So that's a really, really common thing. And people start to have all sorts of judgments around that, first of all. So we want to say, take away the judgments about it. Realize that if it comes up, it's an issue that you got to work through to get to your own self-worth, first of all, to say, you know what, and to realize it was okay in that lifetime to not charge.
Right.
It's okay in this lifetime if you don't want to charge, but it's also okay if you do want to charge. And once you kind of clear that, that issue, or feeling good about it, your price or what your value will be coming from the truth of you and the truth of your alignment with your own higher self. And so a lot of times we say, well, don't worry about what everybody else is charging. Just go into yourself and say, what do I feel, you know, that my soul is telling me that I want to charge and put a value on this, that I'm feeling comfortable with. Because if you start out too high that you don't believe that you're doing it because that's what you think, you know, you're going to fall because it was too big of a chunk to take. If you take too low of a chunk, then you're going to have issues with that. So try to get the happy balance to start out, you know, with you feeling really comfortable.
Right. And take it to the most basic component, which is, if you break it down, money is simply energy. And in healing and the expression of healing, we are conduits. And many will claim like, oh, I'm a great healer. But actually, you're a hollow bone. You're not even doing the healing. It's just simply you open that channel and become that, as we say native way, hollow bone, and then you can be filled with much. So that energy comes through. So again, it's energy. So simply the exchange of monetary value is an exchange of energy, right? So many people, when I was starting, they would say, well, Jesus never charged for, you know, doing healings. True. However, he was given free board. He was given free food. He was given, oftentimes, clothes were made for him, shoes are made for him. He was given animals to ride wherever he needed. Everything he needed was provided, because that, again, was an exchange of energy.
Yeah,
exactly. I agree with you both. And I had the hardest time with, you know, doing my work. My universe, though, you know, everyone's life path is different. And I've had people come to me and say, well, you know, get a real job and then just do this on the side and don't charge people. No, because I was literally forced out of the real job world.
This is the real job.
Yeah, this is a real job,
You
but
know what
I
I'm
mean,
doing?
the
Yeah.
3D job, working in an office setting and everything, my universe said, no, this is full time for you. You are to do this full time, 24/7. So this is my bread and butter as well. And yes, there are trades, energy exchange. It's not just monetary. I also found it a good way to discern or weed out those who didn't value what I can do to assist them. Because I do it from the heart, and I do it because I would love to see them flourish and bloom and expand and wake up and be activated and all these things. I would like to see them, really just bloom in their path and everything. And it's my job to assist and help them in any way that I can to make it more, understandable, more comprehensible, more, and maybe easier flow for them, so that, that's what we are. We are light workers, we are way showers, and we assist people on the journey as we assist each other as well. And so some of these people now didn't value my work, and they're like, really, you charge that much? That's just too much. And then I've got people saying, oh, you don't charge enough, girl, and so I learned, that the value of what I do, because I do it from my heart. I don't do it as, I'm going to charge you this much because it's just, it's taking my time, It's not like that, it is, I'm doing this because I love you, and this is what I'm called to do. And if people are serious enough, they're going to find the worth in it, and they're going to find, you're worth every penny if it's monetary. But I also have some that love to do a trade. They have something to offer me, and they, I have friends who are massage therapists, and I have, a lot of, activity going on in my back when I'm doing so much energy work and stuff. So we do a trade with some of them, and I have other, light workers that, trade me sessions or whatever, energy sessions or what have you. It's an exchange of energy, and it is not only what you feel you're worth, but it's also, you're going to draw towards you those who are going to value or have that same amount of worth, that you're going to be vibrating and matching yourself, aligning yourself with the like. So
absolutely is that. I mean, if it's whatever you're feeling about yourself, obviously, then that's going to be going out and connecting and magnetizing what's coming in. And sometimes it's okay to go through the processes of having people coming to you like you did. Well, we have, and actually we have this happen with people writing us on our contact page or whatnot at Starseed Alliance International. We had people writing in about our sessions and about what we're charging, and we should be doing it for free, right? And we should be doing this because it's, everyone should be doing their spiritual work for free, and why are you charging? And some of them have been quite nasty, quite frankly. So we actually did something that we decided to come up with what's called Our Truth. It's actually on our session page. If you go towards the bottom, it's the last question on it, and it is a long thing. I would suggest you go read it, because it really called out that question about, well, why are you charging for your services? You should be free. And we went into the explanation of how we feel about that, and it's really bringing up the truth, really.
The only way that that's going to change for people is to understand that millennia ago, there was a thing called the Great Forgetting. It's because certain powers that be here were not teaching people the way they should have been. They were more uneducated than they were educated, and they'd forgotten their own empowerment. They forgot the magic of who they are and their lives and what they're all about. And in the Great Forgetting, what was put in place of that is slave consciousness. So with slave consciousness, they don't feel they deserve this, or they don't feel they deserve that, or they're not good enough, or I'm just a lowly whatever. And that's where that all comes from. Well, I predict in the year 2016, it's going to be, rather than the forgetting, the returning, because each one of us are waking up. And now we're realizing that we are sovereign beings of the universe, and we do deserve the best that life has to offer. We deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep telling yourself you own that, it becomes a part of you. And I always say to her, fake it till you make it. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, I know she laughs about this, but I'm a very avid student of fake it till you make it, okay? You continue saying what's actually going on in your life, even if it's not. And guess what happens? It actually appears and happens exactly the way you want it, okay? So like if you go out there and say, I'm a well-known singer and I've traveled here and I've traveled there, and even if you haven't, you keep on with that attitude, you keep on with that thought stream, it'll happen. I know that within my own life, because I used to tell people when I was starting, oh yeah, my music's being heard worldwide, and it wasn't that I was lying, it was I was projecting my own future, and then it became a reality. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to tell you, it works.
And I also want to touch base on Joanne's last part of that question, which is the baby steps you can take to learn your own self-worth. This is really, it's really powerful when you really get to see why you have self-worth in the first, or, why it's coming up as issues for you in the first place. And I find that a lot of us do this, where when we have the doubts and we have the, I'm not good enough or something. Why is that? Well, because we're looking at other people. We're comparing ourselves to other people and what they're doing. Yep. And if we don't feel we match up to what they're doing, or, wow, I'm doing this, but they're doing it the same thing, and they seem to be doing it much better than I do, so I'm maybe not good enough at doing this. Mm-hmm. And that is a humongous issue for self-worth. And all of us can go through that and have been through it and do it at times. We have to catch ourselves right in that moment of those thought processes that go out to the comparison type of things and say, you know what? I honor and appreciate for what they are doing and what they are bringing. But I too have gifts and talents, and I'm a unique individual. So I'm going to be expressing it differently than they are, which then will bring a whole different set of people that maybe this other person may not be getting. It's not either, better or worse, or they're better than you. It's you're different, you're unique. So stop comparing yourself to everybody else, and then you won't feel that way. You won't feel as insecure about what you're doing, because you're really more focused on what you are bringing to the table, and not so much what everybody else is bringing to the table in comparison to yourself. Yep. So, we say that's a baby step, even though that's kind of a big giant thing to cover. But the first step you take is by awareness of when you see yourself doing that. It may be so subconscious, and so, you might not even be aware of it. And the first step is trying to see when your mind goes to that thought process, because you know how you feel instantly. You feel like crap. So going to that place and first knowing, okay, where's that coming from? Who did I just see, or what did I just experience that's making me feel this now? And then becoming aware of it and giving it a place. We're not about saying, okay, banish it, go away. It's about allowing it to be there first for a moment, so that you can even have the awareness that it's there, because you really can't get past anything without seeing it for what it is. And then you can start to really kind of give that self-love that most of us didn't get. And that's why we have that too, the insecurities and not feeling worthy. So those are a few things on that topic, which I'm sure basically affects everyone here,
So we came here today because we wanted to speak upon awakening the force within you, correct?
Absolutely.
So with that, I'm just going to say something about that real quick, and then Lightstar, she's going to give the basis of what you need to do before that, and then I'm going to go into more of the scientific point of it. But I will tell you all, those Star Wars fans out there, the Force does exist. It is real. No, you probably can't throw lightsabers, well, in this life anyway, and do all that stuff, but it's around you, and it always has been from the beginning of time. It's in your auric field, it's in your etheric field, and it's in everything that surrounds you. The one thing that my star family has always taught me, and when I say my star family, I mean when I was younger, being taken aboard their vessel many times and taught these things, they always go back to the same thing. Everything in the whole of the universe is about energy. Even Tesla knew that. I mean, can you explain how lightning works? Can you explain how you plug something in and a current of electricity runs through it? Everybody has a hard time explaining that. Can you explain piezoelectricity that's in crystals? Because everything has energy. So therefore, yes, the force does exist. And yes, you can harness it.
Yes.
And go.
Yes, you can.
She's like, well, yeah.
Really? I thought you were going to go on longer. That's why I was like, okay, that's it.
I wasn't so long-winded this time. Yeah.
No, I actually, some of the things that I was receiving, we actually talked about a lot of it, but some of the things I was receiving was about how to clear the path to have that force. What is the force within you? Really, it's all about source. The force is about source, really. It's about you being in the source.
T-shirt made up.
I know.
That's awesome.
Force
I like
is
that.
the source. So you,
force is the source.
and you are the source.
Cool.
So really, it's about really coming back to you, and how you do that is, when we have layers of like stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff, and we have to kind of remove some of those layers in order to get in touch with the source and the force. So we actually have to do that. And they were showing me, my higher self was kind of bringing in these kind of 5 main themes, if you will, of trying to work through some of this to get to that source. And the first one was really about releasing who you're not and releasing the resistance to who you are. So it's really about, okay, who are you? Well, a lot of us are resistant to find out who we are. We might be afraid. We might have fears. We might have all of that coming into play. And so we have to kind of remove that resistance to at least allowing in some of the impressions and some of the feelings that is who we are, and start to kind of realize we need to shift ourselves into more of that and less of who we're not,
Resistance is futile.
A lot of times we're standing in who we're not most of the time, and we need to move out into that, and
Yes.
resistance has to go. So it's about really leaping into the unknown sometimes, discovering of the unknown and making headway into there, into that arena, and allowing yourself to do that. The second one we talked about was stop hiding. Okay, stop into your small self. Okay, you go into the small self. We need to move out into our largeness and into who we really are, into that energy. All of us are unity. We all consciousness. So that means we're all part of this whole oneness thing, which means each one of us have a part in that. We're a piece of that. And we're not supposed to be the wallflowers just sitting behind, not stepping up and not showing ourselves and shining, the light upon ourselves. We're supposed to be that totality. So that hit a little bit into the insecurity and the self-worth issues, because we need to get past that and start being who, and stop hiding ourselves. And then we need to let go of these belief systems of lack, limitation, scarcity. We have been talking about this for how long? I don't know. Everybody has this, ever since The Secret and everything else came out. We need to do that. We're wrapping up a lot of that this year. Those remnants that are still there in all of us have got to go. And we have to start becoming aware of those thought processes that come in and, caught it. No, I'm going to shift that. We need to do that all the time now, because that's a huge piece. And also to allow your higher self, your angels, to help you with this, help you on a daily basis. Like, how do I get out of that? You need to ask for assistance on that, and to really help you to shift it, because it's a very hard thing to get out of. The fourth thing is really huge, about kind of what I was just talking about. Stop idolizing other people. And Rose and I were talking about that a little bit before we came on here, about, I'm not saying, we're not saying anything wrong with Oprah. We love Oprah. We love all those people and people that are gurus and all of that. They bring a lot to the table, but let's stop idolizing them so much so that we forget who we are and going inside of ourselves. We're just externally looking to who we should be, who we should look at, and who we should emulate. It's fine to have mentors, great, but know that the mentor is only there to show you how you do that for you and to do it for yourself and to go into your own guidance and get your own answers instead of, always listening to everybody else.
Right.
And then, lastly was releasing the old emotional wounds and hurts of the past that we've been holding on to, the old stories, the old loops, the old stuff that keeps coming back around and around again, because somehow we feel that our story is helping us, and really it's not anymore. It's fine, and it was there for a purpose, but now it's time to kind of move beyond the story and look at some of the higher perspectives of things instead of looking at it from that story and that loop and that pattern. So these were just some of the themes that I was getting, the 5 main themes of how we can move into our force, because it's just like Luke in, we're using the Star Wars thing, right? It's just like Luke when he was in, what Star Wars episode was that when he was with Yoda? I don't remember which one, but he was on the island with Yoda and he was in major training, right? He was frustrated as all hell trying to do, lift up, levitate.
You just took that right out of my head.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Oh.
Well, now I have to think of something else to say.
No, two heads.
This happens in our relationship a lot. It's like she's so in tune, she did right out of my head.
2 heads are better than one.
And I don't get a chance to speak what I was going to say. I'm like, great, now what? Awesome, thanks.
No,
what she's talking about.
Same things.
What she's talking about is.
Go ahead.
What she's done. It's so frustrating. We have a new video we're going to be doing about starseed relationships pretty soon.
We do this all the time.
And you're going to get a kick out of it. Trust me on that. Where she's going with that we're both going with that, is it's when Yoda lifted up the ship out of the water and put it on the ground. And Luke Skywalker goes, I don't believe it. And Yoda says, that is why you fail. Okay? Which was going where I was headed. See what I mean?
Well, it was a good segue, though.
Yeah, right. Do you have to deal with your? I mean,
it was a really good segue, though. See, it just went like this, ping pong ping, and now it's back to you.
I have to think of like
Go ahead.
For her birthday, I got to think of something else. So she did, because hand her the gift, and she's like, "Oh, thank you so much. Couldn't you just open it? Maybe that would be good." Anyway.
I know psychics know everything. We even know what we're getting for presents.
I know, it's crazy. Don't get me started. No, but let me weave a scenario for you, Rose, and the listeners out there, okay? How many times have you been walking down a bus station or a train station or the airport, and you're walking in one direction, and you're going, and another guy is coming this way, or a woman is coming this way, and you just happen to look over like that, and your eyes meet, and all of a sudden you feel that, right? You just got a download from them. Now, in Chinese way, they call it string theory. Smack one side of the string, it ripples down to everything else because we're all connected, okay? So now, let's take that movie in that scenario and let me rewind it. See yourself walking backwards, 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 okay? Pause, stop. Now we play again. Now we're going in slow motion. Now your head slowly goes over this direction and you look at that person. You're sending this energy through your eyes, traveling into his eyes, going down into his body, awakening certain things inside of him, activating a little piece of the puzzle he needed, you just gave him. Then he reciprocates, sends it right back to you, and it begins to fire off the synapses within you, boom, 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 and then you receive that piece of the puzzle that you needed, okay? The one thing the scientists haven't figured out yet, the year 2016, I'm really surprised at this, is that every cell in your body, every cell has a consciousness, has an understanding and a knowing of its purpose. And it's not just some random thing thrown together. The body is one of the most miraculous things that was ever created. There are things within us that we don't even know are happening on such a deep, deep level. And that, my friends, is how you harness the force around you, but even more importantly, the force within you. And the keys to gain that is what Lightstar was talking about. That has to happen first, because until you're that clear channel and until you get rid of all that crap and all that garbage that's in you, it is very difficult to become that crystalline being that you are. Don't believe you're a crystalline being? How about you take a microscope and about 1,000 times check out your blood and the blood within you. You will see it's crystalline in nature, because we are crystalline beings. Now, what happens with crystal? They can transmit and they can receive energy, right? So if every single cell in your body is that crystal, do you see where this is going? Do you see the power that you hold within you, that you're able to harness?
And the blood actually contains what? Water. What are we? 70 or 90%? I think it's 70% water. And what is water? Has that, we know from Dr. Emoto's work, you zoom in on that and you see it a crystalline, a crystalline shape. So we have the crystalline in our body, in our cells, because we're all of that is mostly water and all the other constituents. So we have the ability to be charged just like a crystal. We have the ability to do the same things. We are basically this. I'm just having me holding my Herkimer crystal, which I love, by the way. And this is basically what we are.
That's what I got you.
A living, breathing. Yes, this is one of the things I got.
For
Christmas, because I love Herkimer diamonds. And why? Because Herkimer diamonds are the most clear of all. They're the highest vibrating. They just have all the, especially the crystal clear ones. And that's what we really are to, attune to and to become, is this clear channel, this clear being who holds codes and can be programmed in a good way. We've been programmed in not so good way from our upbringings and from society and all of that. But living within us is this. And this seed is what is growing in us all.
And for those of you that don't know about his experiments, he actually took 2 vials of water, and on one side he put hateful words of anger and different things like that, and then the other one, I love you, and just all this uplifting different sentences around it. And then he let them alone for a while. And then when he came back and he looked under a microscope under the water that had all the hateful words and things, it was all distorted, right? It was all Marie. It was all completely distorted. The other one was just this beautiful mosaic of all this just incredible patterns, because it had been filled with so much love. And that in itself proved that every cell of the body, in our water, in our body, in the cells in our body, knows, has a consciousness, it has an understanding. And that, so that's why it's so important not to look in the mirror and say, I hate you, or to talk bad about yourself. You're too fat, you're too this, you're too that, because the body hears you, it listens, and then it reciprocates what you just said. And that's why you need to love yourself, love everything that you are and who you are. God doesn't make junk. Never forget that.
Yeah, and when we look in the mirror, that is so important. I just got some information from my guides actually about the mirror, and it was a really good analogy, or I don't know what, but it was just it really hit me, where when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Most people just see, okay, the reflection of yourself coming back. But what they see, and what my guides were telling me, what they actually see is behind the mirror. They're seeing the expansiveness, the dimensions of who you are, the light, that all of the soul and everything of who you are, which is behind the mirror. So really good exercise, because to sit and look at the mirror in the first place, for most people, when they look at the mirror at themselves, you can't really hold the gaze. I mean, if you're not brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, but you're just looking at yourself in the mirror, looking right at your eyes and telling yourself that, I love you in the mirror, feels really weird for a lot of people because they're not used to doing that. But then even take it a step further and look behind that mirror. And then what do you see? And a lot of people will be afraid of what they're seeing not because it's, you know, this demonic thing, unless you've got that going on, which is definitely possible. But you could also be seeing this beautiful giant being behind that is you. And that is like, whoa, that's me? Really? I thought I was just this person in the mirror here, you know? And knowing that, oh my goodness, we are so much larger than we even have an iota of understanding.
Absolutely.
And our guides and our angels and star friends and all of that see with energy, they see that in us. They're not just seeing the little puny, you know, human suit we're in. They're actually seeing that force within us. They're seeing that source light there, and they're trying to help us to see ourselves in that same way.
You know, Rose, if you put every child, every ethnic child on the planet, whether it be Hindu, Native, African American, I mean, there's a whole list of them. If you put them all in a room together as babies, they'll play for hours and hours and hours and not have a problem with each other, because in that definitive moment, they understand they're sentient beings. They're owned by no one. They don't know racism. They don't know anger. They don't know hatred. They don't know any of that. They just simply know love. That's it. And they treat each other with that respect. That's why it says, when you are going to cross over, come to me as the children. And that makes total sense. You notice when elderly people, they revert back to those children. That's for a reason. That's when they really understand to let go of all this that was your life, because you have another and new life coming. Okay? And in that respect as well, I want you to understand that each of you, I know there are many of you out there that they're having a hard time with drugs or alcohol or anything like that. They're like, you know, where can I go? How can I stop this? I mean, you know, it's just, I'll never get rid of it. Let me tell you something to completely knock that off course. I had a gentleman, who was a friend of mine, who was lived right next door to me, and he had a crystal meth problem really bad. And I took my medicine drum, and I just used my drum, and I did a ceremony, and I went all the way around him. I would hit it and reverberate it into his chest and his head and everything around him, simply through energy. And the next day, he just stopped, and he's never went back ever since. So if you don't believe that energy can accomplish amazing things, the force of what we're speaking about can accomplish amazing things, I promise you, you're sadly mistaken. Because I saw it with my own eyes, and I see it every day, and she sees it every day when we do healings on people. You know, when I do a healing, you've yet to do a healing with me. You wait, I get you here, you'll see. You're not up close and personal. I'm across the room from you, and I'm working energy with you. And that's what I do. We do different things, but that's how I do it when I do my healings, and that, because it's all about energy. When you learn how to focus it and utilize that force and that energy, oh my God, the things that you can create are
and
amazing.
that's why it's really important for people to, I feel, to learn how to get in touch with their own feelings, to be able to feel. A lot of us in this planet become numb, and we don't feel anymore because of all this stuff. And some of us are so sensitive that we just stop feeling altogether because it was on overwhelm. But what happens if you don't learn to unravel that? You will not be able to feel the experiences he's talking about. And since everything is energy, you have to be able to sense it, feel it, to experience it. Otherwise, it's like, you know, the people that probably just think, you know, whatever, we're all crazy or something. It's like, because they can't understand, they don't understand it because they're out of touch with their own feeling sense. They're out of touch with that. Then they can't feel it and can't experience it. Doesn't mean it's not real. It feels like it's not real to them because they're completely up here. Right. And it does not even reside from up there. Our soul, our spirit, God, the energies we're talking about actually resides here, which is our soul, our heart space, our feeling center. So it's very important to get in touch with that energy to be able to experience healings or to experience any energy in itself. And that's where I feel it's very important. And sometimes we just have to work on somebody to be able to get to that place before they can start experiencing the further activations.
Right.
You know, my third phase level, it's really phase 3 in my session work, is stuff that I will do only when phase 1 and phase 2 is kind of gone through the process. Because if I do that at phase 3 and someone's not ready, it's going to do nothing. You know, it won't harm them, but it just won't do anything. So what's the point? You know, it's like layering, you know, mud on top of some mud. You can't, you know, so it's like, or laying a layer of something nice on top of mud. It's like you got to clean off the mud so that you can actually experience and absorb and transmute whatever's going on to get rid of that. And then you can absorb what's happening on the energetic level.
And it's really not as hard as you think. Okay, let's rewind for a moment. Remember what Yoda said to Luke Skywalker. He was like, I can't believe it. And Yoda said, that is why you fail, because it's about belief. That is the biggest and most powerful word next to love. Believe. How can others believe in you and what you do in your healing, or what you do in your practice, or music, or whatever creation you're doing? How can an audience or people believe in you if you don't even believe in yourself? So it's very important, that word belief, wrapped up in a nice little package of what she just said. The core to all of that is believe. Trust, believe. And with a little dose of fake it till you make it. Works great.
Yeah, I mean, how did Luke get to that point of actually changing that belief structure around so that he could levitate the ship?
Well,
how did he get to that point?
I'd say a little 2'2" guy just moving an entire 3-ton ship. Yeah, I'd be a believer after that.
But he had to go in to his own mental space and clean out what was keeping him from doing the same thing as Yoda was doing. He had to go in there and go, whoa, you know, like you said.
Remember, he went into the cave and he had to battle himself. He was fighting Darth Vader when he knocked the helmet off. It was him.
Yeah, so he had to go into the shadow side, and the stuff that I've been kind of saying has to happen before you can actually get to the Force. You got to go to the crap, and the one thing or the several things that are preventing you from actually using that purity of space, that love, that pure space, that clarity, the crystalline space. You have to clear out all the crap. Right. You know, and all the stuff that's preventing you, all the cobwebs, all of the memories, all of the stories, all of the issues and the, you know, triggers and everything that's keeping you from just being in that pure space. It's not just about clearing the mind, although that's a pretty heavy part of it. But some of us have stuff lodged into our bodies that need to be flushed out, cleaned out, you know, let go, release, you know, and then you can start to foster that belief structure, you know, that I can do this, you know.
Right.
So it's a process of going through that. That's why we don't say he had to go through a lot.
He had to relinquish that side of himself, that Vader side of himself, the darkness, and that is the darkness of doubt, confusion, fear, which is what the dark fed off of, was fear. And that was keeping him from acquiring his true Jedi abilities, if you will. So once he relinquished all that and he faced his demon and he went through that, and that's another thing. One of the ways to accomplish that, don't run away from it, don't hide from it, don't try to, you know, figure out a way to get around it. Go head first into it. Be brave, have courage, go head first into that. And you can be surprised what happens when you come out the other side. That is what it's about, to be reborn, to be rebirthed. When you have courage enough to stand up in the face of adversity and move forward, stand tall.
And know what was in you the whole time. It's not like it was just new and you just gained this. It was always there. It's like the Force is always with you, right? It's always there, but it's your, you know, choice and your ability to access it or not access it, to stand in the, you know, the face of adversity and go through it to get to that space, or to just say, you know what, this is too hard. I don't want to, you know, I can't do it. And then you just stay in the same place that you've been in. And we want to see people move, and we want to see people moving through that. You know, there's many ways to get there. It's like if you're going to go to the other side of a mountain, well, there's many ways. It doesn't mean it's only one way. There's other paths to get to that other side. Mm-hmm. You could go around it. You might go up it and over it. You might go all the way to the top and then the other side. There's many different ways, and we're not saying there is one way. It's just that you got to choose to step on the path and start your journey. Otherwise, you will get nowhere. So
yeah, the Ascension journey is about you and your path and why you are here. It's about your expansion and your whole experience. So many people just kind of misunderstand that, and they feel like it's just a one-way ticket on only one way to get there, one train, one plane, or what have you. And mm-hmm. Some people choose to hike. Some people want to walk a path. Some people want to, you know, cross the rivers and the mountains, and you know, so it's completely your path. It's your choice. This is why we are free will beings. And my question with that said for you is, you know, now at the point that many of us are at, this is talking everyone that is on this ascension path. I have lately been receiving a lot of newbies, you know, a lot of newborns, as I like to call them, that, you know, they're just waking up. They're at the beginning stages. But then I'm getting the ones that have been on this for a while now, and they're getting to this point to where they're hitting a plateau, and they feel like, you know, kind of like going on a diet, and then you stop at a certain point and you don't lose any more, but you don't gain any more either. Mm-hmm. So this is a plateau that a lot of people are hitting right now, and they're like, is this it, or is it worth it, or do I just go back to 3D, because now I'm feeling like, ugh. Mm-hmm. And so my question to you is, do you receive people that are at that place, and what is it that you tell them?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I have there's two thoughts to that, because that sometimes when we were talking about being on your path and everybody's on a different level and everyone's doing something different, we're not all ascending at the same exact time, at the same exact way. So since we are all on that, sometimes there really are periods where you are in an integration process right then. So it's not about don't give up and just go back to 3D, because we don't want that. Nobody does, really. But it's also a matter of, you might be at a point of integration, and we might need to work a little bit on what have you been doing then. If you just, you know, just did a little race and just got all sorts of stuff, and you've been on the path and you've been, you know, getting all this information and all that, maybe you need some time to integrate that before some new stuff can come in, because we are, although we're amazing beings and we can handle a lot, our 3D body self sometimes prevents us from, when we're out of body in a soul experience, and we can, you know, receive and absorb and all of that. So I say sometimes the ascension process of that plateau is for integration, and it just means focus in a different area. Focus on integrating what you've learned so far and really using that. As an example, I've used that in light language as an example, where I learned light language, and it was a period of just dumping like 8 languages in a period of time, 2 weeks. And I was like on this fast track, and I was getting all this information, it was coming and everything. And then I had to just stop and integrate for, gosh, it was like a 2-year period for me, because I knew that was, you know, I needed to do that. It's important to have it work here. So that, and then as soon as you're kind of integrated, you can kind of then start receiving some new stuff, and it just takes you up the staircase a little bit higher. So that's one case. And then maybe the other case might be where someone plateaued and they're hitting that resistance to going forward. So they are either afraid, you know, we're talking about fear of stepping into the new, or they've gotten to that wall that maybe you have to look at some things in order to, why are you hitting the wall? If it's not, you need to integrate. and then move beyond the fear of that so that you can start to receive the new again, you know, or push a little further, you know. But those are all the things we have to know, awareness of where we're at, and asking our higher selves and our guides to know the difference between those two phases. That's my perspective on it.
I got like threefold that I'm going to explain about that. First of all, one thing that I learned, when I was in England, I stayed with a dear friend of mine, my mate, Alan. Oi, how's it, Alan? Love you, mate. And I was really amazed with him. You know, he's not only a good friend, you know, really treated me so graciously. I mean, good God, he got internet, for God's sake, just so I could have internet while I was there at his house. So, you know, he's just a really great guy. But he's called Shaolin Punk. That's his little nickname. Because for years, he's practiced the dance and weaving and working with energy. And I saw him from across the room moving objects with energy, right? But while he was in the process of that, he got lost in it. And there's the key. The key is to get yourself out of the way. Get the hell out of the way. How can the Creator do the work through you and the energy come through you if you're just right in the way all the time? You understand? So that's one thing. The other thing that I wanted to elaborate on is when I told you about how every cell has a consciousness, has an understanding of its purpose, okay? I've had many people ask me, well, where does these abilities, the star abilities, come from? Well, scientists, there's certain DNA within us that they call junk. They think it's junk because it's not doing anything. Well, God doesn't make junk. Actually, that so-called junk DNA, when you come here, when you're born with a little spiritual backpack. Now, the dichotomy of it is you can't use that little backpack and what's in it, all the little goodies in it, until you're ready. You wouldn't give a child the keys to your car, right? So as you progress and grow and you raise your vibration higher and higher, that little junk DNA begins to awaken. And in there is your little spiritual backpack and all the amazing little gifts that the Creator had given you specifically to you for what you're here to do with those gifts. It's all fun and games, you know, playing with the energies and everything like that. But each one of us has certain things we're very good at. So I would say to the younglings out there who are just starting in all of this and then you give up too soon, don't. Because you have things inside of you that you can't even imagine that you even yet to tap into. In native way, it's like grandfather says, keep going. Weather the storm, keep going. You get to the point where fate says, do not tempt the storm. And the warrior says, I am the storm. So there's 4 steps in this process, younglings, of the ascension process. The first is remembrance. Or actually, the first is the awakening. You awaken to a whole different reality. You look in the mirror each day and you're like, that's not who I am. The awakening. The second level, if you will, the remembrance. You begin remembering past lives, situations, scenarios, events, people you work with. You swear you know that person. A beautiful girl across the way. You swear that you had some kind of love thing going with her and you call yourself crazy. Well, you're not. Obviously, you had a past life with that person. That's the remembrance. The third level is the quickening. The quickening is the insatiable thirst for knowledge, books, CDs, gathering as much as you can. And the last level is rebirth. Now, this planet is somewhat been going through that. Many people have been awakened. Many people have remembrance. Tons, thousands, hundreds of thousands have done the quickening. And many are coming out of the quickening now into rebirth. And Lightstar pointed something out to me some time ago. And she's absolutely valid on it. Most people think to ascend is, oh, I have to ascend. That's not the true ascension. bring what is here and the knowledge of what you know and the knowledge of who you are, and you house it into this body and utilize it here on the planet. That's ascension. Because not only are you ascending yourself, but you're ascending all those that are around you. Rather than the singularity of who you are, you have now embraced everyone and you lift everybody up all at the same time. Now imagine a world like that.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I feel like there's other scenarios out there as to why people plateau, because there's probably, I mean, everyone's so unique and individual in their issues and why they're not, going to those other levels.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I have seen as well is unlocking and opening and growing and going on this path, and all is well for a bit, but then you start to kind of veer off a little, just a little into a different zone, let's just say, and your guides and your angels and everybody that's been, yay, you're going, and then they see you going off this way and they will shut it down. Meaning dispensation now is kind of removed for a little bit because you're going into a space maybe where that's not exactly what we intended, right, for how you to unlock this or how you to go forward with it. It may be something of manipulation. It may just be you're going in a different direction, but they will sort of, when I say that's why some people might feel that plateau, because they like have to kind of pull back a little bit and then get on the path that they are supposed to be going on. So that's another thing. When I call it dispensation, kind of removed for a time, doesn't mean that you won't get it back. It just means you got to reevaluate what you just did. And maybe you need to kind of take a few steps back before you can move forward. And the other thing that came to mind was starseeds especially. Okay, we've been in so many different universes, in so many different dimensions, and different experiences that we've had. Some, when we say in higher ranks, or if you want to say it that way, it doesn't mean higher or lower, it just means you've maybe gone into the guardianship or portal ship or something of a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, and you have a lot of responsibility in that particular sector of the universe, or that time, multidimensional self has a lot of responsibility. Well, down here, because we're multidimensional and they all work together, down here, sometimes it can trigger into this existence, and you might be shut down for a bit, just because maybe in that other multidimensional existence might be threatened. Okay, there's wars going on that we don't even know. There's stuff still going on, and so dark forces, perhaps, or things like that happening that try to attack or get to those wisdoms. It might actually shut you down here. So I've seen this happen, so I know it exists, and that can be another reason. I mean, these are all like valid reasons as to why someone plateaus, and we have to be in that place of looking to figure out which one it is for you, and if you're not sure, get with one of us, any of us here, or anybody you feel comfortable with, to help you to try to kind of decipher what's really going on then, for you, if you are having trouble. We're always saying go within and get your own answers and stuff, but we do realize there's times when you got to reach out for your family, people you trust, people can actually assist you when you're feeling blocked or can't get information at the time. So these are just, there's so many reasons why, but we're seeing all of those things. It's just a matter of which one fits you at that time, if you're feeling that sort of shut down, plateau, not going there.
One thing that comes to mind for me, Rose, is my family crest. And on my family crest is a knight's helm. And on the knight's helm is a swan with the arrow pierced through it. And our creed is transfixus sed non mortem, which means pierced but not dead, which has been the statement of my life, which means no matter what you throw at me, I'm going to keep coming. And that's the kind of attitude you have. All the people, the billionaires, millionaires out there, the reason that they are who they are, because they never gave up, no matter what. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players ever, he admits he missed far more shots than he ever made, but he kept going. He kept trying, no matter what. So many of our starlings out there, that's a good one. Many of our starlings out there, they They give up too soon, or they get too impatient. Oh, this isn't working fast enough, you know. And a lot of them will actually go to the other side, dark, if you will, in the occult and stuff like that, because it's much faster. And they want it now. And, you know, the society of today, a very throwaway society, you know, I want it, mommy, and I want it now. And that's their kind of attitude, you know, and it's not their fault. It's just because their parents are working all the time. There's nobody there to raise the children. So therefore, you have that new little attitude going on now. But I promise you, young ones, stick to your guns. Keep going, okay? You have an incredible amount of gifts inside of you that you haven't even tapped into. But the universe is not going to let you tap into them unless you learn one key factor: to listen. There's a big difference between listening and listening. You understand? So listen. You quiet yourself, you listen, and then you start getting the answers that you seek.
I agree with that, that there's a lot of very impatient souls out there. And I get a few of them myself. And they're like, no, I want it now. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And then I just kind of say, well, then why are you here? Why are you here talking to me? You know?
Yeah. I mean, look at use the example of the same example we've been using is look at Luke.
Mm-hmm.
He had to stay there and work at it. It was not easy for him.
Right.
He didn't get it like that. You know, so none of us, some people can get it like that. I'm not saying it can't happen, but if it doesn't, you're in the majority, because most of us really do have to work at it. It takes time, you know, and patience.
Do you think all the greatest warriors of time became that by just grabbing a sword and running into battle? No,
They
had mentors, they had trainers, they had teachers that taught them techniques, using the sword, what to do, how to duck, roll. You know, all of that was from a mentor, which is what you are. You're a mentor. But what they don't understand, and what you need to let your students know as well, Rose, is that the greatest teacher is also the greatest student.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put yourself in a place with them of understanding, look, I learn from you just as much as you do me, okay? I'm not above you. I'm not just some like guru, all right? You and I are equal here. I am simply trying to assist you and help you becoming more and the better version of yourself.
Absolutely. That it's a teaching tool for all of us. And a lot of, I call it spiritual ADHD. You know, people get so bored they can't sit still long enough to receive or do the inner work or anything like that, because they get bored so fast, and then they just want to move on to the next thing. And
right.
And so it is crucial that everybody understands that your self-worth. Do you feel you're worth the wait? Do you feel you're worth the work? And actually, you know, that linear time, it cuts out the middleman. When you actually sit still and you actually go within, you start doing these things, it does catapult you. It quantum leaps you. It just totally, you do a jump start, and then things start to happen. It's that point where we have to actually, you know, make the effort to stop. And you know, and people don't want to stop. And for some, I mean, like, you know, like Lightstar just said, you know, there's a whole plethora of reasons why we would hit a plateau or hit that point of, you know, getting bored or what have you, is because it does cause a distraction too. You know, we like to be distracted. We like to keep our minds busy, because when we get to that stopping point, truth sets in.
Yep.
And that you know, a lot of people are afraid of their own truth more than they are of any truth outside of them. And it's so important that you understand that your truth is beautiful, and there's nothing for you to fear about yourself, and there's nothing ugly, you know, about yourself. You're not, you know, there's nothing that you cannot face within you. You are just simply you, and you're in the place, and the things you see, it is just your story, and all you have to do is just love it and just say that's me, and I can change this now. And and I can make it better, and I can go another direction and do some new things and totally expand from this, because all the things that we're afraid to face within ourselves, it is a beautiful teaching tool for us. And all it is that it's brought us to this point to help us in our expansion. It's given us strength, and it's given us wisdom among anything else, wisdom. And we get to know ourselves better with these things about us, the light and the shadow side, the yin yang, and people don't want both of those. And it's a power to be reckoned with when you actually embrace both.
Yes,
Absolutely.
There's times and places. That's why we have seasons here. There's ebbs and flow of the tide. It's all of it. And we have to embrace and be accepting sometimes of those quiet periods, because it's all about reflection and it's all about the integration. I know that one time I was feeling this myself. I felt it before, but the time where I was like, God, why is it not moving fast enough, right? Things are not happening fast enough. And I remember going out to the creek up here in Oak Creek Canyon, and I was up at a place where you could see the water flowing. And I caught myself sitting there just mesmerized by the water. And I sat in one place and I saw this water was rushing around all the rocks and it was going crazy and all that. And I was feeling like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I walked up a little bit further, and then I caught upon a place that was completely calm, no movement in the water. It was just like still. And it dawned on me, I don't know why it took that. Sometimes it takes nature to help us to like, oh, duh, light bulb. And I sat there and I went, oh, there are times in life when it's still and quiet, and it's important for you to go into that. And then there's times in life that flows into this rushing water and everything's happening and it's all flowing crazy, but it's happening and the abundance is coming and everything. And then there's another time in a place where it comes quiet again. And it's up to I think to us to understand those times, to know when we sometimes can't push it. Sometimes we just need to be in that space. And that's what Spirit is trying to tell us, is to look at where you are and to be in acceptance of where you are, because it will shift and it will change. But you have to be able to be in acceptance first. And then things can start to flow. I've had that happen in my own life, but nothing more simple and yet dramatic of just watching the flowing waters
And
over rocks.
Along those same lines, Rose, I would only have you take this visualization, but also the audience that's listening, okay? Visualize yourself standing in a river, and you're holding on to one side here, and you're holding on to one side here, and you're like, this is my life, this is who I am, and life gives you lemons, you just make lemonade, and I'm good. And then a log comes along and kind of pushes you a little bit here, and then another log, and then another one, to the point to where you begin to shake. But you're still steadfast, going, you know what? I'm good. I don't need any help. I can do this on my own. Thank you, God. Appreciate it, but I'm good, right? Another log, and then another one. So pretty soon, you begin to shake even more, to the point where you just, you let go. And then you find that you float easily, without effort, calmly, right to the destination that you were supposed to be at to begin with. Simply by letting go, letting God, and allowing the river to take you where it's supposed to take you. Too many of us battle that and fight that all the time. Let go, let God, and you'd be really surprised where that takes you.
It's true. I mean, the water doesn't fight the river. It just goes wherever it's taken, and it's okay, wherever it ends up, But we have this thing about the mindset of where we're supposed to be, and if it's not going exactly so,
right,
we freak out and get upset and, feel bad about ourselves or feel we did something wrong or, all of along those lines. And sometimes it is just about, just release and let go, let your life take you in spirit where it wants.
What's the old saying? go ahead and make plans and watch God sit back and laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is that way. And so many times, you know, even myself, you know, in the past, you know, years past, I felt like, you know, I had to put everything, you know, put all my ducks in a row, so to speak, and it never worked out. And because we're not supposed to put ourselves in that box. We're not supposed to limit ourselves. We are limitless beings. So we need to allow, you know, God, universe to use that limitlessness to carry us through this journey, to help us, you know, expand and grow. And I mean, I'm doing things today that I never, ever, ever, ever would have imagined doing even a year ago, let alone 2 or 3 years ago. And I feel 2016 linear time again. I feel that the time happening now is I'm going to expand into even more new avenues that I didn't imagine myself doing. So as myself going through this ascension process, I'm still ever growing and expanding and learning and remembering. And so we are all in this together. So there is no rhyme or reason to it. The less it makes sense, the better. I mean, the truth is stranger than fiction, and you can't put any rhyme or reason to it. And I like it that way because it's more exciting for me anyway, personally. From my experiences, it's more magical. And if I try to, you know, set my limits on it and say, well, you know, by summertime, you know, I want to be doing this and that, well, forget it.
Exactly. That is so, you know, that's so true, because God puts, you know, God knows the timing so much better than we do. And we feel like we have to get in there and no, I want it by this time, when ultimately it may not be that the right time for that, you know, and there may be some things that it's setting up a foundation for you. And you haven't, that's happened to me where, you know, I've gotten that word about, we're just setting up the foundation. And I'm like, but I want it now, but I want it. No, we need to set up the foundation first for, you know, not a foundation as in a company. I'm talking about just the ground, you know, the groundwork or foundation for any project, any business, any type of creative work you're going to do, anything like that. There's timing and places and there's groundwork that sometimes needs to be set before it can actually then be accepted by, you know, the world or whatever have you, where we all want everything to be out there. Well, sometimes it's just maybe at 80% and it's, you got to get the other 10, you know, 20% before it can then, and that may take, you know, some different timeline than what you've set up. And I think that that's what, I've always had this thing about, you know, goals and, you know, where people get so into the goals. Like, I get it because I used to be like that too. And now I'm starting to realize, how can I can set these goals, but knowing that they have to shift and you know, move with God's timing, not with my, I set this and it has to happen this year. I set this and it has to happen this year. Overall, you can do that, but with all the details involved, no. It's like that just, you'll get more frustrated. You'll get more discouraged if you put your hang on every little detail that you have mapped out. And so I have a little bit of a dichotomy with that, with the way I was raised and being in corporate, of having that, and then now feeling, looking back and going, that isn't really the way it is though anymore. And it doesn't really, I mean, you can still do it, but you limit yourself and you limit spirit, and you just get yourself wrapped up into a pretzel, you know, with that, instead of just allowing it, you know, for when's the right timing, when's the right feeling on this. And if you think it's the right timing, but, you know, spirit says not yet, who are you going to listen to? You know, are we going to will ourselves through it, or are we going to go, okay, I'll chill, you know, wait for the right time, you know, and keep going with other things, but maybe the right time on that. So we've all had to deal with that for sure.
You know, Rose, you know what channeling is, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, some of the best channels are Bashar and Jay-Z Knight that has Rampant. And people are absolutely blown away how accurate and how easily they can do it. Well, there's a reason for that. Because there's a thing called co-channeling, and then there's full-blown trans-channeling, right? Now, co-channeling is when you are channeling, but you're still present. You know, when I first started channeling, before I was channeling all over the country, I was doing co-channeling. And I got 4 Virgos here because I'm quadruple Virgo. So as I'm channeling, the Virgos are going, I'm not sure if I believe that, you know? So it was very difficult to deal with that as far as being a pure channel. It wasn't until I learned how to completely get out of the way, to completely, I had 2 beings of white light that took me and I allowed the master to come through and speak. And then it just got really powerful and really precise. And that's what Bashar does. That's what JD Knight does. They get themselves out of the way. And this is like the key factor in everything we've been talking about today.
Yeah.
If you seek to awaken those Jedi powers in you, or the Force, or whatever you may call it, or whatever it is for you, you have to get yourself out of the way and let go and let God, let that creator, let that energy come through, that divine nature, because you are divine by nature. Never forget that. You are, and I repeat, you are divine by nature.
Absolutely. I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's part of that, you know, self-worth and finding out, remembering, I should say, who we really are. We didn't come here just to pay bills, as you see that meme comes up a lot, you know, on social media, but it is so true. We are here for a big purpose, and we, you know, as individuals and as all one consciousness, as we are all interconnected. And you did, both of you said through all of this so far, but I would like you to reiterate it again. Big things are happening now, and it's a point to where we have to be more mindful or more aware. And Lightstar and I were talking about this before we started the video up, and we were talking about not getting lost in the camouflage of all of this. This is not a hippie movement. This is not a new age movement.
Right.
We you know, that this is absolutely real. And again, like I said, I wanted to start this linear year off with YouTube because I really resonate with the both of you. As I've told you several times before, you know, I really feel you're part of my galactic family, and I feel that you totally are in the present, and that you are moving authentically, and you're moving live stream, so to speak, and not going into this hypnotic mode with this whole massive mainstream thing where everybody now is suddenly okay to become vegan or vegetarian. It's okay to go do yoga because now they see it everywhere else, and it's commercialized, and now this is the in thing. And no, I believe you guys are being very true and authentic and saying this is not mainstream. Yes, those things are good for you, but not because everybody else is doing it, and not because it's suddenly now new big business, you know, or anything like that. This is part of our true essence, and that we are here for real, true, authentic, and genuine reasons.
Yes.
And we're here to do some very important, authentic, true work here. We came here for a reason, and it wasn't to get lost in the camouflage of all of this. Yeah. And you made some valid points, you know, all through this about that too. And I just wanted to really stress that to be, you know, very mindful and to discern what is happening all around you, and staying true and authentic to yourself. And are you doing yoga just because everybody else is doing yoga, and it's so commercialized and mainstream? Or are you doing it because it really is benefiting you on that personal, deep, spiritual, and energetic soul level? Because of what the true benefits of yoga is, not just because it's good to just stretch your muscles every day. You know, I mean, this is about you questioning everything that you are doing today in your life out there, people. Yeah. And so yeah. Lightstar and Standswithbear and I are here to say, stay awake, keep your eyes open, don't let the veils come down and camouflage everything, and you'll miss the forest for the trees, you know, so to speak. Do you agree with that?
all about discernment. And we talked about that. And I think that word is like, just says so much of it, because discernment is all about really looking for who's authentic, who's genuine, who do you really feel is coming from the heart space, you know, who is really coming from that place, and who is really coming from the more big business fad, you know, this is kind of thing place. And we both really feel that we know we come from a very pure and loving place when we do our sessions and when we're trying to help people, because that is what we signed up to do, you know, and we came here to help people, not to just, you know, continue dumbing down the whole, you know, 3D like earth here. We came here to help people in a true and really pure way. So it's important for us to, you know, we're not trying to be anybody that we're not. Really, we just are who we are, and that's the most important thing for everyone to do, is to really be who they are, like just authentically.
In the same respect with both of us, because it's happened to both of us, you know, we've faltered, you know, we have doubted ourselves, and the universe puts in something into play that's just the most incredible thing. Like, we get testimonials internationally for what's transpired through either her readings or my readings, or even her jewelry, or her beautiful oracle deck that she created. We get all kinds of testimonials, and that's the universe saying, good job, you know, you're doing your work, you're doing what you're supposed to be in. But even more so, that helps to ignite the belief within ourselves. When we see that evidence of how it affects other people's lives, it's kind of hard not to believe anymore. And belief is a very powerful thing. It can either cripple you or it can empower you. And what we're telling you is go the other direction. Let it empower you, not cripple you. Okay, belief's a very powerful thing. I'll give you a case in point. A few years back, I worked at the Center for the New Age here. And can we say that? I'm afraid to say that.
I just did.
I just did. Anyway, I worked there, and I had a gentleman come to me, and he did a session with me. And I had a little trailer right there on the back by the river. And he was an old biker guy, and he had his cane. And we're walking, and I did the session, I did the healing on him, and we started walking back to the store to pay for the session. And then he's like, oh man. I'm like, what? He says, I forgot my cane in your trailer. So he came with the cane and left without it. And it's things like that that just blow my mind. I'm like, even I didn't know that things like that could transpire. But when you see things like that, it reinforces the belief within yourself, and that you can allow that energy to come through, then you can be that you are more than even you can imagine. And when you've had so many years of these different things transpiring, pretty soon you're like, okay, I believe, you know. But unfortunately, a lot of us are hard-headed. Anybody else? No? All right. And it takes a while to get that belief structure going within yourself. But once you do, amazing things happen.
I think people know the essence of what, you know, people are getting so in touch with their intuitive sides much more than they ever have been. And we want that to continue, because your intuitive guidance and your intuitive abilities are what's going to tell you and help you with that discernment. Is this person, you know, really out for my best interest, or do they have their own agenda going? You know, and that is going to be coming from you, and your own intuition is going to tell you that. Is this person coming from the true heart, or are they not? If you don't have that ability to have that discernment, we need you to work on that, because that's really going to be helping you in every single decision that you're going to make in your life, with everyone and everything and every, you know, situation you come up against. Really, and that's what we do, is really trying to get people to do, to empower themselves, to really make decisions for themselves, and be able to see through the mucky muck, and to see through all that stuff, you know, that's just a bunch of mess, versus really seeing someone of purity. You know, we know that a lot of people that are very pure and very genuine and very authentic are not always in the Hollywood scene. Not to say that some of those Hollywood people aren't that, but I'm just saying So don't look for it just in those, places. That great book that is one of my favorite books is The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And those that have watched it either in movie or in the book will understand that the masters and the beings of wisdom, of great wisdom, can come from the mechanic in the garage, the auto garage mechanic, or the janitor. We've also seen that in what was that one of Jim Carrey, one of my favorite movies, with Jim Carrey.
Where he's talking to God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Where he's talking to God and God is the janitor.
Morgan
you guys know what
Freeman
movie that is, but it's one of the best movies that can depict that, where it's like God is in the, the real like lowest places you could think of on the planet here, but yet the most profound wisdom comes out of these people.
It's like the movie we saw called Jupiter's Ascent.
Jupiter's Ascent. That was another one that had that same, Jupiter's Ascending, I think it was.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Jupiter's Ascending.
And that was a great movie too, about depicting, she like owns the whole world, all of Earth ends up being hers, but then in the end, she ends up still cleaning toilets. It's like, it doesn't matter how much glitz and glamour and all the world and everything, you could own planets. But the truth of the matter is really about what are you really doing there? Where are you coming from? What place are you coming from? Is it of service or is it of control and manipulation? It
all boils down to this: do your job. That's why you came here. All those light years away, you volunteered, and you did volunteer. No matter what you say, I know many of us are wishing that when we read that poster on the wall, volunteer at Earth, see the world. And read the small print and be like, oh, that Earth. No, I'm good.
But we did choose it, and we did choose to be here for this time. And we honor all of you for stepping forward and doing that, by the way.
Right.
Because it wasn't an easy choice, and it wasn't an easy decision, even though great things were going to be coming and all of that. But we knew we also had to go through a lot of stripping away of things, and wasn't so easy.
And many of you out there are so concerned about fulfilling the mission. Of course, that's important, but understand, even if you don't, you not know because of the great things that you've done in the past, helping other lives, worlds, situations, events, that when you get to the other side, there'll be great parades in the street heralding what you've already accomplished. So just remember that. Just remember that you are God. We're all God. Every single one of us are God. We have that beautiful energy within us. It can be utilized any time. We love you, Rose, and we're glad that you brought us aboard today.
Thank you so much. And just to add, we don't want everyone being too hard on themselves.
Right.
So judgment of yourself, especially.
I do thank you so much for doing this event. And we did have a lot of viewers, and I know we had one question, but I think everybody was just kind of receiving. And if you have questions, though, at the end of this video, when I post the replay on my YouTube, if you just happen to have come across this after we've done this today, just go ahead and ask your questions in there, and Lightstar and Standswithbear or myself will be more than happy to answer the questions. And all of Standswithbear and Lightstar's information is going to be at the bottom of the video for you to contact them and connect with them and have sessions or ask questions or what have you. So I just want to say thank you all for joining. And before we go, I do want Lightstar and Standswithbear to say one last thing before we go. I feel, maybe a quick goodbye or what have you, or one last thing the universe wants them to present for you. So.
Well, I'll just say that basically for coming from my own heart, I just want to say, thank you for being here, and thank you for all of your service and for choosing to be here, to stepping up and to being the light that you truly are. It's so needed in this world, and don't ever feel that you are lower and not important and off in the corner, because we need every single light out there to stand really strong and to brilliantly just beam your own light as to who you are and not what everybody else is. So just being in that, and I just want to say, both of us probably say that together, in that we love you and we honor you and we appreciate who you are.
Each time when you look into the heavens and you see all those beautiful stars that are above you, notice every star is unique unto itself. No two are alike. Just like you, no two are alike. And each one shines its brilliant light for a specific reason. Now here's the thing. As you gaze up, you think that star is so far from you. You don't realize you are that star. And you make the whole of the universe. And you make all things in the universe move in the direction it is to move. You think that's crazy? You think perhaps that is fabricated? I promise you it's not. Because as I stated earlier, all that made the heavens, the earth, the planets, and the multiverses resides within you. Remember that and never forget that. That, my friends, is how you will regain and find the force within.
I was just going to say that too. The force and the source within you. Now go out there and awaken it.
That's right.
Thank you so much. I love you both, and thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you all those who are watching the replay. This is a timeless message, so it's never going to outdate. And
Right.
Be
stay
your
authentic.
own Jedi.
Yes, stay authentic.
Be your own Jedi.
Yeah, let the force be within you. And I love you all. We love you all.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, and mwah, you are loved. Namaste, mahalo. Mwah.
Well, bye, darling.
Bye.